My name's Wendy Bergen, and I'm glad you're here. I'm going to be doing a very short and not very detailed, but I mean, as detailed as it gets because it's not hard, demonstration on how to cook with freeze dried ground beef. I'm going to focus just on ground beef today so that you can see the meat and see how easy it is to cook with it. I'm going to be using Thrive Life freeze dried food. That's what I prefer. I think that food has better quality than most from other companies. I have a small pantry size can here. On the back of the recipe, the back of the can, there are suggestions on how to use it. And there is also directions on how to rehydrate or refresh it. Add 1/2 cup of warm water to 1 cup of beef and let sit for 15 to 20 minutes until tender, or simply toss into any creation and off you go. That's how I prefer to rehydrate my ground beef, is I just throw it in whatever I'm doing. Today I'm going to just make some taco meat to put in a burrito or quesadilla, something like that, but just to show you how easy it is to quick and make something. If you wanted to, you can rehydrate in something as simple as this. You put the warm water in and just kind of shake it around and let it sit. I don't do that a lot. And not with ground beef, I don't do that. With some of the bigger pieces of meat, like the chicken slices, I will. And I'll actually rehydrate in warm chicken broth because it brings more flavor to the chicken. And the beef chunks, they don't really have beef chunks per se, more slices of beef, and they have some shredded beef. And I will often soak those first in some, whether it's chicken broth or beef broth, something like that. I'll just soak it in there for a little while just for some flavor to go back into the meat. But for the most part, I do everything in the pan when I'm cooking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what it looks like. We've used this halfway, and I don't know if you can see in there very well. And I will pour this into a bag just so that you can kind of look at it. And it looks like dried ground beef. So yeah, it's just fried ground beef. You can see that. It's it's just hard as a rock. You can, if you push hard enough, you can break it, but it looks like a little rock of ground beef. That's about it. So that's what it looks like. If you don't like how big some of these little pieces of ground beef are, you can put it in, if you don't like that size, because it will swell up a little bit. You can put it in a plastic bag like this and flatten it out. And then I use a big jar and just kind of crush it up a little bit. You don't have to. You can play around with it. Oh, something just moved down in there. I guess I'm super strong, forceful. Make it a little bit smaller. So we have this, have my can. Now, one of the questions may be, well, how long will the ground beef last once it's opened? It'll last a good year if you keep it in a cool, dry, and dark environment, just like this. You can, however, I don't have any small jars, I don't think, but you can take a mason jar. This is not a mason jar, but you can take a mason jar. You want to make sure it's preserved. You can just dump it into your mason jar and dry pack can with an oxygen absorber like this. These little oxygen absorbers. You would fill your jar up with your meat, put an oxygen absorber on top, wipe your rims, put your lid and ring down, and then just keep it on your counter for a little bit so that you know that it's sealed. And once it's sealed, take off the ring, label it, and put it in your food room. And that way it'll keep 5 to 10 years just like that, as long as it's cool, dry, and dark. I have my little butane stove here, and I have a skillet. This is kind of big. What I often do is I just pour it in the skillet like that. I guess I need a utensil to work with. one. I pour it in the skillet and I just kind of brown it. You do not have to do this. I just kind of like to because it gives it just a little bit of flavor. Just a little, I don't know, it's just sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. Depends on what kind of hurry. But the little pieces will brown up really fast. Just kind of toasting it. That's it, but you don't have to. And it's on a lower, not on a super high flame. That's about it. Then I will take some water. You hear it sizzle. Mix this up. Now, on the back of the can, it talked about adding, you had a cup of ground beef and you add a half a cup of warm water and you let it rehydrate and then it'll be tender and you can just use it however. This way we're actually going to make heat. The heat's going to do more work than just letting it sit for 15 minutes because this really shouldn't take very long. It's 12:12 right now on my my clock, so this will be done quickly. And I'm just going to let the water cook out actually. I'm probably going to add a little bit of oil once things cook out a little bit. But this is it. You can add salt and pepper at this point. I'm going to add some like taco seasoning to it, but this is really it. And you can tell it already looks like ground beef. I don't know if you can tell that or not. I'll hold it up there and drip things. Cooking with ground beef is probably the easiest thing there is to do. I'm going to actually put the flame up a little bit more so it cooks out. You can see that I actually put too much water in it, but with meat, it doesn't matter too much because you can always kind of toast the meat on the back side of this. Now, the other thing you can do with ground beef is if you've already made your spaghetti sauce or chili or something like that, you can literally just dump the freeze-dried ground beef right into the sauce and it'll hydrate in there in just a few minutes. So there you go. That's what we're doing. We're just stirring, nothing exciting. I think I'm going to grab some salt and pepper and put in here. Put a little pepper in here. I know I can't reach that far. Thank you, darling. You can even put, if you wanted to not use water, you could hydrate with beef broth or chicken broth, whatever you want to do. It's really that easy. So here you can see it's already, the water's cooking out. See, it's getting dry, the water. If you like it, depending on what you're doing, you can add what other vegetables you want at this time as well. You want the meat to cook first. The vegetables take such little time to cook up. So you want to do your meats first and then add any vegetables. You'd probably add the vegetables about this stage. The vegetables need very little water, very little. So this would be a great time to add any vegetables. For instance, I have the chopped onions. That's what they look like. They're very fine. I'll put some onions in here just because, like I said, we're making some taco meat. And that they'll just like almost instantaneously, they're done. Their onions are. They're like, boom, we're done. So here you go. Almost all the water's cooked out. And then I have some Southwest seasoning. This is my favorite from Pampered Chef. I'm just going to dump this in. I eyeball pretty much everything, if you haven't been able to notice. And there you go. That's the taco meat. That's it. I might add a little bit more, but you could put some tomato sauce in this. You don't have to cook with everything that is freeze-dried. If you had regular vegetables, like fresh vegetables, you can put them in with the freeze-dried meat. You don't have to be exclusive to just freeze-dried food. There you go. That's it. Taco meat done. Ready for a quesadilla, a burrito, taco salad. What do you think? Turn off my heat. What did that take? 4 minutes. So maybe 5 because I had it in the pan just a little longer before. I can add a little oil. I never did add any oil, but you could. See how pretty that is? You would never know that it wasn't fresh because it looks fresh because it kind of really is fresh. So that is how you cook with freeze dried ground beef. Like I said, you can rehydrate it first. Instructions are on the back. You can throw it and cook it in the pot in the pan like what I did. You can make as much or as little as you need. This will feed, 3 or 4 of us for lunch. But I could have made just a small portion and done it in a little tiny skillet, just single. That's what's really awesome about freeze dried food also is that you can make it for just one human, one person to eat, or you can make it for a lot of people. You can do it this way. You can create your sauce or, like I said, the chili or whatever you want, and just throw whatever, how much ground beef you want into it. Just throw it in there. That's that is cooking with freeze dried ground beef. It's easy peasy. If you have questions, please let me know. And I appreciate your watching. Enjoy your day.